My name's Gilly Jenkinson. I'm a PhD and an accredited psychotherapist. And my journey to becoming a psychotherapist started by leaving a cult, which I was a member of for 7 years back in the 70s. When I became a Christian, I was about 18, and I didn't have a lot of direction in my life. I didn't have a desire to study this or that. I went from being someone who loved parties and went from that to becoming very serious and intense and trying to get my friends and my family to join the church, and it was very unbalanced. I became very depressed. I hit a really was a crisis for me at that point. And then there was some other people in Derby who were recruiting, but it was what they call a little local fellowship is a term that's often used. So what I got involved with to start with wasn't a cult. It wasn't an enclosed tight group. The Christian message is a very positive one, but in the wrong hands it can be used to manipulate. So I think what I heard was that God would love me forever, that I would have this secure love in my life. And so I went into it very naively. I had no idea how horribly wrong it could go. I just trusted. People said they were trustworthy and I trusted them. The community, as I say, started out as this fellowship, and gradually people started to join, and they started living in community households. The early days, it was quite fun. There was quite a lot of fun. We had a music group. We wrote our own music. It was much less controlling in the beginning. And then it's really to do with the leadership, which is always crucial in a cult. This new leader, he needed to come in. I'll call him Roger. It's a pseudonym. And Roger more or less said that he had the answer to this problem. God had sent him to us to keep us safe. Roger started to take it down a route of an image. He was very obsessed with the image and the way the group looked to outsiders. He thought that he would be influencing all the other church leaders in the area, probably in the world, actually. Real narcissistic kind of vision for this group. In fact, all the leaders locally were very worried about him and thought he was weird. He came in so slowly but surely that we didn't see that he was weird. At one point, we had this singing group. So as I say, we were very creative, and the singing group went away and they went to kind of be the image of the community. And when they got back, what we heard is they'd seriously messed up and that they were in really big trouble. And weird though this is, Roger and the other leadership decided they would beat the members of this singing group with a hairbrush, like they were naughty little children. And you know, some of it's kind of psychological abuse, so you can't see on the outside what's happening on the inside. And then the beatings were terrible. They made me sit round this table in front of the whole household, so it was very, very humiliating as well. I think a lot of people were physically beaten, and he would sit at the dining room table and he would actually laugh about how many beatings people had had that day. And of course they would be horrified, but they wouldn't dare say anything because then it would come to them if they did that. Hardly any left, which is so weird as well. And I think it just shows the level of control. If you leave, then you're shunned. So you lose all your friendships, you lose all the contacts that you have within the group. And they not only shun you, also speak really badly about you. And that was the very darkest time. So we all lived in these different households, and Roger lived in a household with all these women. He'd handpicked these women to live with him that he found to be sexy and he liked to have around. So there was a lot of sexual abuse going on as well. The women in Roger's house started to realise that what was happening was, it's obvious to anyone outside, was not Christian behaviour. And so they started to challenge Roger, and actually he got so worked up and he went to try and get people on his side, basically. And the whole thing kind of split into two sides, those with Roger and those against him. Because I was in such a confluent state, I was in a kind of state of trance, and I didn't have critical thinking and I didn't think for myself. But this situation of people splitting to two sides gave me the opportunity to start to question, and that's, I suppose, the point where I started to leave, where a kind of doubts came. But that in itself is exceptionally damaging, and you feel so shamed and humiliated, and it creates such a fear of stepping out of line and of speaking out. But I'd met Tony, who became my husband. We got married, and that kept me from staying with them, and so we then went off on our own journey together. So we left the cult, but the cult didn't leave us. I just carried on in a lot of fear, really. The fear of stepping out of line, doing the wrong thing, and of course the fear of God. This monstrous idea of a God that the cult kind of fostered, which isn't actually a Christian version of God. Long, slow journey, and partly through investigating for myself, like doing a diploma in pastoral counselling helped me to begin to unpack Christianity and see it, chew it over, look at it in different ways to the ways the cult had looked at it. It's absolutely crucial when somebody leaves an abusive setting that they start to understand what happened to them. I think it's really important to finish on a really hopeful note. I think one can feel such a level of despair and hopelessness on leaving these very highly controlling situations. Keep looking, watch someone, be aware, don't be naive, use your critical thinking. And the trouble is with the narcissist that they hide behind this charismatic, loving, and then when you're in the relationship, then it's hard to get out, and it's the same with the cult thing. So just be careful, just slow it down.